There's this silent, powerful hero working inside you right this very second, doing its job over and over again without you even noticing. So today, we're going to put a spotlight on the incredible, kind of mind-blowing machinery behind your own breath. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. Over 20,000 times every single day, your body pulls off this amazing mechanical feat. So what's really going on behind that simple rise and fall of your chest? How does it all work? Well, it might not be what you think. All right, let's meet the star of the show. The absolute main engine, the powerhouse behind every single breath you take, is the diaphragm. It's the unsung hero we're here to talk about. You've probably heard the name, but trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see it in a whole new light. So what is this thing? I know, that definition on screen sounds pretty technical, but really all it means is that it's this massive, dome-shaped sheet of muscle and tendon. It creates a physical wall between your chest, where your heart and lungs are, and your abdomen, with your stomach and all that. Just picture it as the floor of your chest and the ceiling of your belly. Now, to get all that power, the diaphragm has to be anchored down really securely. It's not just kind of floating around in there. It actually has 3 different attachment points. You've got the sternal part up front on your breastbone, the costal part grabbing onto your lower 6 ribs on the sides, and the lumbar part reaching all the way back to your lower spine. This gives it a super solid base to pull against, all the way around your body. So how does it actually work? Well, when you breathe in, the diaphragm contracts. It pulls down, flattening out from that dome shape, kind of like a piston. This one simple move makes the space inside your chest cavity way bigger, which creates a vacuum that just pulls air right into your lungs. And breathing out? That's even easier. The diaphragm just relaxes. It goes back to its dome shape, the space in your chest gets smaller, and the air gets pushed out. It's so elegant, right? Oh, and get this, it's not just for breathing. This constant up and down movement actually helps squeeze blood from your abdomen back up towards your heart, which helps your circulation. It also acts like a little valve at the bottom of your esophagus, helping to prevent acid reflux. What a multitasker. Okay, so the diaphragm is handling all the vertical up and down movement. But for a really good deep breath, that's not enough. Your rib cage also has to expand outwards. And for that job, our main engine needs an essential support team. And here they are, the intercostal muscles. Intercostal literally just means between the ribs. And that's exactly where they are. Thin layers of muscle that stretch across the gaps between each of your ribs. Their whole job is to lift that rib cage up and out. Now, there are 2 main layers here, and they work against each other. The external intercostals are on the outside. And here's a cool trick. Their fibers run down and forward, just like the angle when you slide your hands into your front pockets. They contract to lift the ribs when you breathe in. The internal intercostals are deeper, and their fibers run at the opposite angle, like putting your hands in your back pockets. They help pull the rib cage back down when you breathe out. Pretty neat, huh? And hey, just so we have the complete picture, there's actually a 3rd, even deeper layer called the innermost intercostals. They basically run in the same direction as the internal ones and just help them do their job. So you've got this really sophisticated, multi-layered system of muscles wrapping your entire chest. Okay, so we've got the diaphragm working like a piston and the intercostals moving the ribs like bucket handles. It's this perfectly timed dance. But muscles don't just decide to move on their own. Something has to be giving the orders. So who's the director of this whole performance? Well, for the diaphragm, the answer is beautifully simple. The entire command for it to contract comes from a single source, the phrenic nerve. You've got a right one and a left one for each half of the diaphragm, and they are the only thing providing the electrical spark that makes it move. And this brings us to one of the most famous mnemonics in all of medicine. This nerve starts way up high in your neck, coming off the spinal cord at vertebrae C3, C4, and C5. The saying goes, C3, 4, and 5 keep the diaphragm alive, because an injury above that level, well, that can be a huge problem for breathing. So it makes sense then, if one of those phrenic nerves gets damaged, that signal gets cut. And when that happens, an entire half of the diaphragm just goes limp. It's paralyzed. It loses its ability to contract. So what on earth happens when one side is working just fine, but the other side is just sitting there, not getting the message? Well, the result is strange. It's inefficient, and it moves in a way you would never, ever expect. It's called paradoxical movement. So when you try to breathe in, the healthy side does its job. It contracts and flattens down. This squishes your abdominal organs and increases the pressure down there. But because the paralyzed side is all relaxed and floppy, that new pressure has nowhere to go but up. It pushes the paralyzed side upwards into the chest, the exact opposite of what should be happening. It literally moves up when it's supposed to move down. Wild. Okay, so that's the control system for our main engine, the diaphragm. But what about that support team, the intercostal muscles? They need their own blood supply and their own nerve signals too. So where does all that come from? Well, nature is incredibly organized. Tucked away in a neat little protective groove under each and every rib is a perfectly ordered bundle of lifelines, a vein, an artery, and a nerve. And they always run in that order from top to bottom: vein, artery, nerve, which gives us that super handy acronym, VAN. This little bundle is the complete power and plumbing for those rib muscles. So we've got our main actors and their control systems. Now let's just zoom out for the final pieces of the puzzle. The backup crew that only shows up when you really need them, and the actual stage where this whole performance takes place. You know when you're exercising or you're really out of breath and you feel your whole upper body working? That's your body calling in the backup crew. We call them accessory muscles. This includes chest muscles like your pecs and even some neck muscles called scalenes. Their day job isn't breathing, but when you're desperate for air, they jump in to help yank that rib cage up even higher, letting you suck in a huge amount of air. And the stage itself, that's your thoracic cage. It basically has two big openings. The superior one is the small opening at the very top. It's the entryway for your windpipe and esophagus. But the inferior aperture is that huge opening at the bottom. And this is where our whole story comes full circle, because that giant opening is almost completely sealed off by the star of our show, the diaphragm. And there you have it, from the piston power of the diaphragm to the bucket handle motion of the ribs, all powered by those intercostals and directed by this precise network of nerves. It's a system that works in perfect harmony, and it does it around 20,000 times a day, all just to keep you alive. It's truly an incredible piece of biological engineering that you carry around with you every single moment. So go on, do it. Take a deep breath right now. Feel that? Now you know the complex, silent hero that's making it all possible. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.